Awesome. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Galactic Explorers with your two favorite channelers, Miss Dallas and myself, Daniella. Welcome to the podcast where we take you through the earthly, everyday, metaphysical, scientific, and all kinds of topics with that galactic perspective. As always, now we're going to get our show today started off with Vibe of the Week. So today for Vibe of the Week, I am bringing to you the Don Miguel Ruiz Four Agreements Oracle cards. So these go right along with the books that he has published, and they are glorious and beautiful, and I highly recommend these as like a nice little Oracle set. So for today, we are starting off with Always Do Your Best. And this one right here says Express Your Divinity. Pretty right there, yeah. And on the back, it says, you don't need the acceptance of others. You don't need you don't need knowledge or great philosophical concepts. You have the right to be you, and you express your own divinity by being alive and loving yourself and others. So there's number one. Number two is don't take anything personally. It's under don't take anything personally. And this one says, your truth is personal to you. And there's a guy sitting there reading his book out there, doing his own thing. And it says, your own opinions and point of view reflect your own agreements and are personal to you. It is no one's truth but yours. So that goes in both ways, which is great. Because not only can people not push their opinions on you if you really don't want to let them, that also means that you don't need to go around pushing your opinions on other people too, because they're living in their own truth, which is sometimes almost the harder lesson to work with than being on the receiving end of it, which is so crazy. Mm-hmm. The last one we've got for today from Mr. Don Miguel Ruiz is don't make assumptions, from that fourth agreement. And says, say goodbye to sadness and drama. And it's got a beautiful, what is that, dandelion there, blowing its seeds into the wind. It's very glorious. It's actually very, the image is very, what's the word? Why can't I think of it? Poignant? Relevant? Right, for today's topic. It says, all the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. The whole world of control between humans is based on that. And take a moment and consider this. Which means you don't have to hold on to it at all. Fucking brilliant. So yes, so we've got always do your best and expressing your divinity. Don't take anything personally. Your truth is personal to you. And don't make assumptions. And say goodbye to sadness and drama.
Bye.
What you got, love? What you got for the peoples today?
Let's see. I have my oracle cards. The first one is Hello from Heaven, Archangel Azrael. It's your loved ones in heaven are doing fine. Let go of worries and feel their loving blessings. So again, let go of what you're holding on to. Mm-hmm. And like you see in the card as they're reaching up, mm-hmm. and then has a kind of a torch or something after of just kind of, your ancestors are there for you, right? I think the ancestors are there. We'll go from there. Hold on.
We'll go with that. Short and sweet. We like it.
Second one is nurture. Archangel Gabrielle. So obviously comforting and nurturing. As you nurture a child, you nurture your own inner child. Both activities are important for you right now. So definitely taking care of yourself as well as others is very important at all times, but sometimes you do want to listen to yourself, and if you're holding on to things, mm-hmm. that's a part of nurturing yourself. Mm-hmm. The next one is Archangel. I don't know how to pronounce her name, Jafia. Outdoors. So of course, I think it resonates as well
Oh
with our
yeah, with what
topic.
today's topic is. Mm-hmm.
Go outside, get some fresh air, and connect with nature to relieve stress and gain new creative ideas. So of course, as you let go of your worries and stresses and you tune into yourself and you nurture yourself, you're also, to do that, earth outdoors is a tool
Mm-hmm.
that we could all use.
Huge.
It's easy to use. You can just go outside your front door or back door and
Tap
smell
right
that
in.
air. And
No
then,
ceremony necessary. Just take your fucking shoes off.
right. So
Just go right ahead. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So there you go.
Perfect. I love that. I love those cards of yours. They're beautiful.
Thanks. I love cards.
So
Can't go
excellent.
wrong with them.
No. Yeah, it's hard to go wrong with angel cards. So Miss Dallas, since you've got your beautiful herbs in front of you, before you share how you work with those, because we'll get into those in tool time, but please share with us like your abundant harvest. How do you do
Um,
the thing?
how I do the thing. I think you have to first have a passion for it and
Mhm.
an intention for it. Um, my intention, of course, is to, and of having a harvest and an abundance harvest, is growing my own fruits and vegetables
Mhm.
and herbs. And I use that for my cooking, and I use it for
Mhm.
medicinal purposes, and then my rituals I'll use it for. So there's different things that I use everything for,
Mhm.
but everything is used, right? And then we do have our own compost, and we create our own compost, and so then
Awesome.
it goes back to the earth, and then it goes right. So we
It
want
gets
to,
recycled. Mm-hmm.
right, it gets recycled, it gets reused, and I try to make sure to find a repurpose for everything,
Mm-hmm.
so that way nothing goes wasted. Um, yeah, and it also has opened me up to learning how to work with nature and listening to the plants and the animals and the seasons and the elements of how and when to plant and harvest. It also has taught me to follow some moon cycles. So it really helps, because that's what sees. You take it back of like how the farmers and Native Americans, how they gardened and how
Mm-hmm.
they harvested their own plants is
Mm-hmm.
by the moon cycles and by the
Yep.
seasons and stuff. So they would use the moon as a tool to know, oh, okay, so it's in first quarter or whatnot, and it's a good time. They notice the plants and how the plants work. And so
Mm.
you, in a nutshell, um, that's how you would use it.
Mhm.
Do I use it exactly up to the moon cycles? No, if I forget. But then usually moon cycles, you give it 2 or 3 days of
Of a
the
window, right? Yeah.
energy. So, and then you have to like pay attention, because I've learned too, like I'm looking at my plants and it said to fertilize it, but then it's like, well, I just fertilize it. It looks really good still. I don't really need to do that, so I'm not going to do it. Or, you really start to you pay attention and listen and with
Mm.
your eyes, and then like, hey, do you need trimming? Or, oh, you look like you probably need some. So that's where you start learning with the intention of knowing your plants,
Mm-hmm.
and using those moon cycles to help kind of use it as like a guide of like, oh, so within this time, do my plants need it? Do they require it? Do you guys need this? And do talk to my plants, of course. So that's how that kind of works. So it's more of an old tool,
Mm-hmm.
that you can still utilize. Yeah.
How does, because we're going into this time of year and not everybody always has the opportunity to have gardens in their backyard. And there are things like other farms that you can go to and pick your own fruit and do that kind of thing, and I'll engage in it still, right? The act of harvest and
Mhm.
interacting with the plants and all. What would you say has been the biggest positive impact that you think that having working with those plants gives you? So like even if somebody's out in the world and like I said, they can't really create the garden in their own home, but yet they still can have access to one, what would be the benefit for them to actually go out and make the effort to go and connect with nature in a harvest type framework? Like, what is that you've taken from it into your life that has been the positive reaping of the interaction between you and nature?
Um,
I know it's a deep question. You didn't know I was going to ask you that one.
it's for me, like when I see my garden and I go out into it, it's something you have to, it's a daily practice, just like
Mhm.
with anything else. If you want to practice something, it's a daily practice. So actually having a garden, or even if you just have a pot of something, you have to give it attention of, is it needing sun, or is it not, is it too much sun, or does it need water or fertilizing or pruning or whatever it is. And it's I was looking at it the other day because we did some garden work this
Mhm.
weekend, and then looking at it, and it's like, okay, how is this reflecting in my life? How is this looking like my life?
Yeah,
Well,
how
for
does the
one,
plant look? Yeah, is it reflecting
yeah,
my life? Yeah.
so that has been a huge thing. I think that it shows a reflection of taking care of something, of actually taking care of yourself, or like I said, not. So it really shows me and has taught me what abundance I want to create,
Mhm.
and do how I want to provide for myself and for my family,
Mhm.
and what am I teaching my children, and how
Mhm.
I do that. I have a garden, and mom and dad tends to it together, and mom and dad have vegetables that we can just, here, they're right there. Here's a whole bowl of tomatoes. Have a snack, or, so it's stuff like that. Um,
What are you passing on to your kids as
yeah. So
interacting
one
with the
day,
earth and yeah, all that? Mhm.
they know how to grow something, or
Which
what
is just
something.
so insanely important because like people
No,
don't
it's
even know how to grow a plant anymore. And it's just mind-boggling, especially
it's
since the plant mostly does all the work.
right, right. And then that's where you start to learn of, like, oh, and giving gratitude for, there's the sun, and then there's rain or no rain, and you got to water. And I'm grateful that I have water. I'm grateful for the sun. I'm grateful for a place to plant, or
Mhm.
the tools and the mindset to do what I want to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's all what you want to do. If gardening's not your thing, but you want to learn to make bundles of something, then how are you going to create that?
Right.
Or if you want to grow your own fruit or vegetables, how are you going to create that space to do it? Because you could do it from apartment. They have so many videos and how-tos of how to do
That's
things in a
true.
5-gallon bucket.
They've got
There,
dwarf trees now, like all the dwarfed fruit trees and stuff that you can get babies of and grow
there's
and
tools
yeah.
that you can use. It's just being open to that, and being
Mhm.
open to learning and taking the time to do that that's for yourself. If you want to grow something for yourself, then you
Mhm.
need to take the time and the initiative
And
and
being
do
open
it.
to your options.
And be open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. Yeah.
I love it. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you for that. Because yeah, I mean that's a great perspective. Cultivates almost like the intention of intention. Does that make sense? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like
Right.
it cultivates the discipline of having intention.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
How
I
you want
love
to
that.
follow through with that, and how
Yeah,
yeah, it's exactly that.
yeah, yeah. I
And
love
you
it.
can
No,
do
that
that
was a
with
great way to put it too. Yeah.
with any other practice you have, cooking, or you
Mhm.
want to learn cards or mediumship, it's the same. You
Mhm.
got to put the work in
Mhm.
and creating abundance. How
Yep.
you want to do
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the other side of that is not getting in your own way about it.
that. Right.
And that's the other side of abundant harvest that I wanted to talk about with everybody today, because take for a scenario, for instance, you can learn all you want to learn about growing plants. You can start your own garden. You can even tend to it every day. But if there is somewhere inside you that still truly believes that you don't know how to take care of plants, no matter how much you've educated yourself, no matter how much experience you've given yourself, if there's still any old belief or an old thought pattern, or somebody, like somebody else told you one time that you hold on to, kind of thing, that you don't know how to grow plants, guess what? Your plants are not going to grow very well.
Right.
And it's a paradox, because here's the thing: if you don't accept yourself as a gardener or a planter or a cook, or, like, you call it a chef, like an at-home chef, or, like whatever you want to call it, like whatever the title is, a channeler, a medium, a psychic, a card reader, like those examples you were just bringing up. If you don't give yourself that title, if you don't allow yourself to take on that title, in a sense, since humanity is so preoccupied with titles, if you don't allow yourself to go, okay, I've taken it enough, and now it's time to try it, and now it's time to do it, and now it's time to be it, then you can't take off either. Then you
Mhm.
won't have anything to harvest either. Because so much of the time, what we don't realize is that it's the internal mental harvest that is stopping and blocking so much of what we're perceiving as an external harvest, or lack thereof. So, the idea of an internal harvest, for me, very much goes along with what you were saying with a physical harvest, where it's like you've tended to it daily, you've, checked your cycles, you've checked in on it, you've seen what it needs. Does it need fertilizer? Does it not need fertilizer? We're talking internally now, of course. So you've checked in with yourself, you've done your shadow work, you've played with your triggers, you've done all this stuff, and yet you still tell yourself that you're not there. You still tell yourself that you're not healed. You still tell yourself that you're not good enough. You still tell yourself, right, that you're not whatever it
Mhm.
is that you're striving to be, by doing those practices, by doing that shadow work, and whatever that person is. Like you said, it could be a channeler, could be medium, could be psychic, could be a chef, could be anything.
Yeah.
But if you go through the practices, go through literally, like, either the practice of creating the skill or the practice of doing your shadow work, which is a skill, by the way. Even if you go through all of that and there is a belief within you that has not been cultivated or has not been weeded out, shall we say, that still says that you're not good enough, that still says that you're not the thing that you're striving to be, that you'll never be the thing that you're striving to be, like, if you're still playing those mind games with yourself, you'll never harvest, because there's so much internal resistance to our own personal growth, and seeing it and allowing it to be there, allowing ourselves to be the new person. Of course, as above, so below, as within, so without, right?
Yeah.
So it really just, yeah, shows you a crossover of accepting your being in that sense. So it's time to ask yourself those questions. Because it's time to harvest, y'all. It's about time.
It is.
About time. So in that vein, we're going to be doing our tool time. Excuse me, since it's time. It's time. It's time for tool time. So to help you navigate through some of this stuff and to give you an example of some of what we do during this time of year, Dallas is going to share with you one of her favorite things to do with some of her harvest. And then I'm going to share with you some of the internal techniques that I have used to work with mine. So, Miss Dallas, take it away.
All right. One of the things that I do and use in my practice is I create bundles.
Nice.
Right. So rosemary, lavender, sage, thyme.
Nice.
And I can never pronounce it right. Candula.
Calendula.
Calendula. Marigold, the pot marigold, it's known.
Is that what it is? Really? I did not know that.
Yeah. It's a type of marigold.
Because I love calendula. I didn't even know it was a marigold. See, I just learned something new.
Pot marigold. And then I also create, well, oils with them. So this is lavender, and this is calendula. And then you can do tonics and tinctures and soaps or whatever with them. And then, of course, I just harvest a whole bunch of stuff throughout the year. So there's sunflower petals, lavender leaves, rosemary, basil, sage, all the, and those are what we can cook with. We can make teas with, or bath products, or sage and cleanse. And then I use it throughout the year. So yeah, that's my tool. That's what I use. That's what I
you turn it into stuff, which is really neat. That you then use the rest of the year for all of your other practices.
Right. I have echinacea too, a big jar, and then of course that's good for teas. And then I research and learn of like, okay, how do I do this, and what can I create, and so then how can I use that in my daily practice? So,
or in your foods to like infuse your foods with. It's like, because I totally see your like lavender honeys and things like that you put in your teas, and just like something that seems really complicated to make but isn't.
Right. It's so simple.
Yeah.
And it's just taking the time, it's taking of how you want to use it. Right? How do I want to incorporate this plant with my life, and how I can use it? And sometimes having a plant that just sits there and looks pretty is okay too, because that might bring you peace and comfort.
Enjoy.
And I
just to look at it.
Yeah, and I have rosemary and lavender right outside my door, so anytime I go anywhere,
just touch it and
that's like, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna, okay, and I go off
and we're good. Yeah.
So that way there's just different things that my plants help me stay focused and stay present, and create and heal, and it brings me joy. So there you go.
Nice and easy, short and simple. I love it. Short and sweet. I do love those bundles. Those ones in the very front with the flowers in them are really pretty.
Yeah, and what I like, I make them
flowers and stuff,
so they dry easily. And I put them in a bowl usually when I do burn them. That's just what I do. I go against the grain of things sometimes. Instead of just keeping it and burning it, I will discard it and put it in a bowl and then burn it. What do you do? What is your tool, Daniella?
Oh, thanks, Dallas. That didn't sound like a setup at all. Oh my god, I love you so much. I was actually just thinking about it because that does have to do with the whole inspiration thing. Um, the honestly, as crazy as it is, as simple as it seems, one of the biggest tools that I've been using, I want to say for the past couple of years now, and it's evolved and changed, but it's more or less the same, is something that I mentioned in the other segment. And it's that what's wrong with already being it? Because for so many people, they and we end up denying parts of ourselves because it's not coming or expressing itself in a form that's typical or popular, um, or mainstream in some way. Do you know what I mean? Common. And so we end up holding ourselves back and then not giving ourselves permission to be. We're literally not giving ourselves permission to be anymore because it doesn't line up with something else that we thought that it should be because of what we've seen. So the tool literally is as simple as it seems. What if this actually was it? That's literally what I asked myself. And I remember the day that I did it. I was standing right back there on the porch that you can't see because I got my screen up. But I was standing right back there, coffee and dart in hand, being as unspiritual as you possibly could be, smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee, right? But I literally, like, it came to me, and you know, the channeling, it came to me, but it was like, it came to me and said, well, why aren't you? You are already. So why don't you just let yourself be? Yeah, why don't I just let myself be? Why can't this be it? Like, why can't this be the reflection of what's going on? Like, why can't this be the manifestation of what's going on? Why can't this be a version of it? Why does it have to be that other version? And then for me to illegitimize myself as a person, as a human being, because it's not coming in that other form that I've seen somebody else do? Now, wait a fucking minute. Hold on. So the tool is to literally ask yourself the question and then see where your ego takes you. Because that is the next layer of that shadow work, quote unquote shadow work, right? That has to do with the harvest and allowing the harvest of your real self to actually take place, to allow it to come forward, to allow you to harvest and get to enjoy the new version of you. So that was my thought on it. That was my tool. And as, again, simple and I guess wishy-washy to some as it may seem, the whole difference of changing your internal belief and your perspective on things can literally make a world of difference as to what you experience and what you do end up harvesting as a bounty in your life, one way or the other, whether it's physical or not.
Harvesting is the seed you plant, whatever form that is. It's, yeah, do you reap the benefits of it, or do you just let it sit there?
There you go. There you go. We'll go ahead and bang the gavel on that one. So, my dears, from Miss Dallas and myself, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And we will see you next week, where we're going to be coming to you with the top 3 mistakes not to make during retrograde. Because when we come to you next week, it will be day 1 of the last Mercury retrograde of 2021.
Yay!
And what will you be doing? Let's find out. We'll see you guys next time.